G'day guys, welcome back to the Rugby League Guru podcast. Today we're going to go through another best 17. We're going to go through the Manly Seagulls today. Myself and Maddie and the Water Boy. We're going to get stuck into that. Maddie, welcome back, mate.
Guru, what's going on? How are you?
I'm very 50-50 on how the Manly Seagulls go this year. Sometimes I look at just the star power they have and I say they're a chance of the 8. Then I look at their depth sometimes and fuck, it worries me.
Does Denon say swing side? Is that his thing?
Swing side, yeah. Loves the swing side.
Yeah, I feel like the Manly are my swing side only because, well, they got Turbo, and that's the difference. But even without Turbo, they've got a new coach as well, which kind of so much unknown there.
Yep.
Yeah, they're my 50-50 is great. I am 50-50 on Manly as well.
I also think on top of that, losing Foz is going to be massive.
Yeah, 100.
I think that if you were to put them into a skill tester, him and Josh Schuster potentially comes out on top, but experience and just the mindset that Foz has and just his composure in big moments are, close to unmatched in our game.
Yeah, I think it's funny. As soon as they said, not got rid of him, but as soon as the Titans signed him, I think they started to, or a lot of Manly fans started to say, "Oh, I don't know if we should have got rid of Foran." Yeah, he's unmatched Foran when it comes to how tough he is. Firstly, how he just brings it to the line and just is able to be so crafty and so effective while also being so tough. He's obviously, when he had all those injuries a few years ago, it was because he played so tough, and it's been so good to see him on the field. But yeah, he's going to be a huge loss. And
I think that's the other thing. Going into last season, if you would have given me an overs unders of Kieran Foran to play 20 games, I would have gone unders. 15 games, I'm probably going unders. He played just about every game. So that was the other layer to it, that you didn't really give Josh Schuster an opportunity to play 6 at all. So there is a bit of mystery around that. He obviously didn't play his best football full stop last year.
Well, and then he just didn't play last year.
Yeah.
He didn't play many minutes at all. So it looks like he's been training pretty hard in the off-season. Looks like he's cut down, 10 or something kilos. I don't know where, might have been Roger Fabrice.
I've seen him training with Roger a bit and he looks like he's flying.
Hello Sport podcast that he'd lost 10 kilos or something. Yeah. And that was last year. That was before Christmas.
Well, you got to remember, he skipped the World Cup.
Yeah.
And he spent a lot of that time down there with Rod's training. So he's looking very good. But, the reality is, I came into last season thinking Josh Schuster was the next big superstar and could be Manly's next 5'8", lock forward, left edge back rower. He finished last season as their third choice left edge back rower, realistically.
Yeah, it was wild, especially after we saw a great glimpse of him in 2021. It would have been. Yeah. So yeah, that was very surprising, and it kind of coincided with Foran signing with the Titans as well, which made things a little bit harder.
Yeah, there was a little glimpse. I believe he played for Samoa during the season, and I thought it was one of the better individual performances in a big win, obviously, but he absolutely killed it there. So, I think it's very promising that he's taken that World Cup off. That would have meant a lot to him just to train and get ready to wear that 6. They've obviously also signed Cooper Johns, which I don't think Cooper will be in the 6, but I like that they're not saying, Schuster, it's yours no matter what.
Yeah.
There are other options here, so you're going to have to perform.
Yeah, putting a bit of pressure on him, which can only help him. It can only help Manly, for sure.
Yeah. And obviously, this Manly Seagull side, last year, they finished 11th. They lost Turbo during the year. And I think people forget that. I don't know how many weeks it was, but there was a span between losing Turbo and Jersey Gate where I thought Manly really pulled themselves together.
They did, yeah.
When Turbo got injured, I sat here and I said they cannot make the finals.
Yeah.
Then about 2 weeks before the whole Jersey fiasco, I was sitting there going, holy fuck, Manly have pulled this together. I think they will make finals. And then we all know what happened last year. They get to start fresh this year, new coaching staff, new everything. Whether there's still issues there or not remains to be seen. We'll have to wait and see once the season kicks off. But I do think, Matty, that no matter what your issues are, a fully fit Tommy Turbo overcomes everything.
That's your number one priority, and I think by the time he'd release this, I think he might be actually in America. I know he's going sometime in Jan. It worked so far for Latrell. Hopefully it's working for Ryan Papenhuyzen as well. So I think just as a collective, it doesn't matter if you love or hate Manly, everyone wants to see Tommy Turbo playing because he is an absolute delight to watch. So let's just hope he can stay on the field this year.
And we're going to go through their best 17 in our opinion here today. I think it's worth noting as well, Manly, they have a bye in round 2, Matty. So
Yuck.
with Turbo returning from America and stuff, I'm very tempted just to sit him in round 1.
Yeah, just keep him on for round 3.
I don't know if it's worth it. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do get to round 1 and you see Ruben Garrick playing fullback. But I think that round 3 is probably when you'll see Turbo back. I wouldn't be risking him in trials. It sounds like he hasn't gone to America yet, has he?
Nah, from what I know, it's the later in January.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So he's only just going to make it back for the start of the season anyway. You'd have
Well,
to
it's
assume,
it's a 2 week.
It's only 2 weeks.
Yeah. So it's 2 weeks.
It's going to be intense. It's like 10 sessions, isn't it?
20 sessions.
20. So it's 2 a day for 10 days, isn't it?
Yeah. So I think you got 14 days roughly, and you got 20 sessions. You'll have rest days in there. So whenever he trains, it'll be about 2 a day. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, hopefully we get Turbo back to his absolute best because we know how scary that can be. But I think it'll probably be round 3 that you'll see Manly's best. But if we were to pick their best 17 right now, Matty, the back line, I think it sort of picks itself. A little bit boring, but Turbo at fullback, obviously when he's fit, best. I mean, you could say James Tedesco. I think on his day at his absolute peak, I think it's hard to push back on Turbo as the best fullback and probably best player.
Oh, for sure. It's just got to keep him on the field. When he's the best.
Yeah. So Turbo at 1 picks himself there, no doubt about it. I think the 2 wingers pick themselves, Ruben Garrick, Jason Saab.
Yep.
Saab's obviously lightning quick. I think Ruben Garrick, I sort of did a little podcast the other day on State of Origin Smokies, and I couldn't put Garrick in that category, but he probably should be, Matty. Fuck, he's consistent.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, he's they actually both come from the Dragons, which is quite funny. But yeah, Garrick's been extremely consistent.
He's been great, and every time he's had to move to fullback, he's been tremendous. Yeah. There was rumours at the back end of last year when Seibold first came on that they would play Garrick in the centres. Look, me and Matty haven't heard anything about it since. We didn't like it then. We don't really like it now. We don't see that move going ahead. I'll be pretty disappointed if they do move Garrick into the centres. He's a great winger. We've spoken about it many times here on Bloke in a Bar. I think wingers are more important than your centres now. So I don't know why you'd move him.
Let's say hypothetically you do move him, because I'm with you. I'd like to see him on the wing more. But so you've got Christian Tuipulotu. Sorry if I'm
Tuipulotu, yeah.
Tuipulotu. So he'd probably play wing if Garrick moves to centre, but then you'd probably take out Parker, right? Because you got Talatau Cooler.
I wonder if he would end up on the wing.
Or would he go to the wing?
Kohler,
yeah.
I don't know how that. You've got Parker, you've got Kohler. They're 2 quality centres. I just don't think it's a move you need to make. I think it's an unnecessary move where you're taking Garrick out of his best position and losing someone else that's a really quality centre.
Yeah, agreed. And also, if they start with Kohler this year at centre, because he was fullback wing everywhere last year, if that's going to be his spot, you don't really want 2 new centres as well. No. You'd rather just have as least going on as possible when it comes to like new people, because you've got a new 5'8" as well. I know as a new coach, so maybe he'll put a broom through and just start again. But yeah, I'd have Garrick and Saab as my wingers. Especially
when you consider, as you said, you have a new 5'8", you have a new left centre, you then have a new left winger. That'd completely change that edge. You also have a new left edge back rower because Andrew Davies not there. So I just think it's just too much movement that is not necessary. You've got one constant there. It's Ruben Garrick on the wing. Unless he has to play fullback for Turbo, I wouldn't be moving him from there.
And then the thing is, even if he does have to play fullback for Turbo, then you can put Tuipulotu in.
Yeah.
It's just a straight in. So it just makes things a lot easier, I reckon.
It's unnecessary musical chairs. I just don't think they need to go through it. Parker and Kohler, we both agree they're the 2 starting centres. Kohler on the right, Parker on the left.
Yep, easy.
Really looking forward to seeing Kohler this year.
I heard an interview with Anthony Seibold with James Graham on the Byron podcast. He's the one guy that Seibold is like pumped for, excited for, to break out this year. Yeah. So it'd be cool to see him go. I'm really excited.
Yeah, and I mean, I think he's a guy that we look at and we go, lightning quick, all the highlights. I genuinely think he's one of the best defensive centres in the competition.
His defence last year was fucking wild. He's so good. He's
I remember sitting here with Kempy one week, and I think it was off mic, and I remember saying to him earlier, I'm like, fuck, this Kohler, he's going to get caught out because he shoots out so much and blah, blah. And Kempy goes, yeah, but he hasn't made a wrong decision yet. He's very good at picking his moments. And as the season went on, I was waiting for him to get caught out. And there was once or twice when he kind of did, but similar to Josh Adokar, he's quick enough to get back and make the fucking tackle anyway.
Yeah.
He's a tremendous player, Cole. I'm very, very excited about him. 5'8", I mean, you could tell me there's some mystery around it. I don't think so. I think Josh Schuster is going to walk into that jersey. I think he'll partner DCE. You'll have Ches on the right. You'll have Schuster on the left. Matty, my question to you is, with Foz leaving and Schuster coming in, DCE, he's one of the more ball-dominant halfbacks in this competition. Does he become even more ball-dominant?
Yeah. You're asking one of the most ball-dominant players, even more dominant, so it's a tough one. But certainly at the start, I think so, because you're not going to give Schuster... Schuster's not going to roam around everywhere. I think Schuster's going to start kind of where he's comfortable on that left, because he played left back row.
I think they'll try and simplify Schuster's job as much as they possibly can.
I totally agree. Yeah, so I think... Short answer would be yes, even though it's pretty crazy.
I think this year you will see DCE and our mate Jackson Hastings. I think their handles, receipts, whatever it is, I think they're going to be unbelievable this year, along with Benny Hunt, as always. I reckon it's going to be very interesting to see which of the three ends up at the top. So DCE will have him on the right, Schuster on the left. Front rowers, mate.
Yeah.
It's a weak spot. It's definitely a weak spot. I'm a little bit worried about it. They've got Josh Alea, who I think will be a starting front rower. Then you've got one of Kepi or Paseka. To start. The other one will be on the bench. I wouldn't be surprised. I think those three will sort of rotate throughout the year as well. Outside of those three, we'll get to the bench soon, but front rowers, if one of them was to go down or Gerbo was to be injured, you'd be worried, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, because... As you said, we'll get to the bench. They've got a couple of good players, but then they get even more stretched. So, yeah, I think if they stay, everyone stays uninjured, then they'll be fine. But they probably don't have enough front rowers in their squad, to be honest. I think they've only got 5.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's the NRL. They're not going to stay injury-free.
Yeah. There's
going to be hurdles throughout this entire season. So I think that's the one spot that I'm really worried about the Manly Seagulls. I think one of Kepi or Paseka needs to go to another level.
Yeah.
And I think if they both do, that changes a lot of things. I'm really excited about Kepi this year. I really like the look of him. Paseka, need to buy him a mirror, don't they, Matty? Needs to realise how big he is.
He is.
And he has moments where he takes the opposition on, he goes a million miles an hour, and he's so impressive, but then he has other games where he just leaves so much to be desired.
Yeah, hopefully Seibold can convince him that it's up to him.
Yeah.
It's all up to him. He's so big and so strong. He can... look at Olakau'atu.
100%.
He just uses his big frame to just bully everyone in front of him.
And I think that's where if Kepi and Paseka can turn into above average front row forwards in this side, it changes things a little bit. Depth worries me. Croker at 9. There's no real other options. You've got a couple of young guys in the squad. I don't think you'll see them just yet. You've also got Carl Lawton, who we've got on our bench. But I think Croker, he does a job. You know what you're going to get every week. I think when you've got a ball-dominant half like DCE, you've got a 5'8" like Schuster and a fullback like Turbo, you can give a little at hooker. Defensively, he does a job every week.
Yep.
There's better hookers in the competition, don't get me wrong, but Croker does a job in this side.
He's done it for a few years now, ever since they let go of Appy to keep Fainu, and then all the dramas and stuff happened, and Croker was, what do you call it? The everyman, handyman that just jumped in there, done a great job, done a fantastic job. Had a really good game against the Cowboys last year, which unfortunately got overshadowed by the crazy comeback. He'll be the 9.
That was arguably the best 9 minutes of all time from a footballer.
Crazy.
That was crazy, yeah. And look, I think the big positive with Croker is that you've got a hooker that doesn't make mistakes, doesn't miss a tackle. He's not going to have a huge upside, but you know what you're going to get every week. Mate, I'd hate to think what he is getting paid for what he puts his body through.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
The value there is incredible, I think. Yeah. When you can spend big money elsewhere on having $1 million fullback, $1 million halfback, etc. So, Croker, there's better hookers out there, but I think he's perfect for Manly in their situation, how their salary cap is structured. Back rowers, Olakau'atu. The rise of him over the last 2 years, mate, has been unbelievable. I remember watching him playing for I think he was playing reserve grade against North Sydney a couple of years ago, and his arm just about got snapped in half. It was that game that everyone was watching to see how Suoliti would go. He came back, and I thought he's been incredible since then. He's a guy that, I don't know where he sits as far as Tonga, New South Wales and stuff, but if he was picked in a State of Origin New South Wales side, mate, I think he'd be fantastic.
Well, I think he'll be able to play this year because I don't think there's a rep round, and as it stands, they haven't changed any of the rules. So
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm not certain on that, but I think him and Keon Klomatangi are available for Blues this year, so...
Scary. Both playing on the right edge too.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've got Cam Murray that sits there at the moment on the right edge, Matty, and Angus on the left for the Blues.
Yes. Yeah.
So, going to be tough to crack that side, but two guys with huge upside there. But yeah, Olakau'atu, I'm a huge fan of him. I think that he is in for a big year, as I said. I believe DCE will be very ball dominant. I think you can see with DCE, he's one of those halves that he's sort of like an NFL quarterback. You have to earn his trust.
Yeah.
And when you do, you see a lot of ball. And I think you could see at the back end of last year, Kohler started to earn his trust. He started to use him a lot more instead of just throwing it straight to Saab. And one guy that has earned his trust is Olakau'atu. He absolutely loves him, whether it be short kicks, short balls, whatever it might be. I think you'll see Olakau'atu in for a big year. The other side is very, very interesting. I think we've both got the same guy starting there.
Yep.
But if I'm being honest, I'm not completely convinced on him just yet. Kelma Tuolangi, obviously playing for the West Tigers last year, in and out of first grade a little bit. I was impressed when he played, Matty, but it just always felt like he wasn't far away from a HIA or a minor injury or something.
It was a weird old year for Kel, because I remember it started the year and there was, I don't know when it became official that Manly signed him, but I do remember
floated around for months.
Months, right?
Yeah.
And I rember, I think it might have been even before the season started. Thinking, all right.
I think it was too.
And I think he had a really good, I could be speaking Amasi, but I think he had a really good trial and everyone started talking a little bit. And then you're right, he was kind of just in and out. You're like injured, HIA, like would always play well. And then, I don't know, so it's very hard to get a read on, but from what everyone says, he's very good. So, yeah.
Yeah, hard to get a read on. I know that Jackson Hastings, he thought he'd be a really good signing. He spoke very highly of him. So hopefully Kelma, he can kick on and have the sort of year that we're hoping, because I think that Manly needed on that edge. I think they do need someone to sort of step up a little bit on that edge with all the change that's going on and whatnot. So hopefully it can be him. Other guys you could see on that edge, you've got Bullimore, Condon, you've got Burbo as well. But yeah, no one really jumping out there. I think Kelma's probably the most likely one. 13, Gerbo. I obviously missed out on State of Origin last year. I thought in the World Cup he was tremendous.
Yep.
I'm very excited for Gerbo, Matty, because I think that he was one of the guys that really started this transition of ball playing 13s. And then it's sort of I think that when Desi came in, he sort of pushed him too far into that category where he literally just became a link man.
Yeah.
And I think Gerbo's he has shown us, in that time before Desi, that he's got so much more to offer in his game. I think he showed it in the World Cup as well. I'm very excited to see Jake Trbojevic with a new coach, with Seibold. It excites me a lot. Yeah,
me too. I think his role, there was a point where he was making too many tackles. Like he was that guy. It was kind of wasted a little bit in the last couple of years. And we know what he can do. Look what he's done for the Blues and for Australia when he's been picked. Like, I agree with you. Like, I hated that they sacked Des. I'm sure I'm definitely not the only one. But if there's one, positive, I think this might be one of the positives. Big silver lining for me. Big silver lining. Yeah. All right, let's go to their bench, mate. 14, I think that Dylan Walker is going to be a massive loss. I think he's the one guy that they can't replace in this side. I think that obviously Schuster can come in and play 5'8" and whatnot. You've got your Kelmers and these sort of guys jump in the back row. They just don't have a like for like of a Dylan Walker, and not many teams do, to be fair. The closest we can get is Carl Lawton. Matty, I've always been a closet little fan of Carl Lawton. I do like him. I love that he is such a fucking wild card. I always say the hardest thing about preparing for Carl Lawton is that Carl Lawton doesn't know what Carl Lawton's going to do. So it reminds me a lot of Lewis Brown. Used to play for the Warriors. Yeah,
could jump in
Lewis
at
Brown.
hooker, could jump in at centre, back row. would always scoot from dummy half randomly. He just does things a little bit different to most guys. So Carl Lawton, he's a goer. They've got him in 14. No one else really challenging him for that spot, is there?
Nah, he was one of the first names I wrote down in their respective position. Yeah.
So Carl Lawton, 14. After that, jersey 15, 16, 17. As we said, I think jersey 15, the first reserve after Lawton will be either Paseka or Kepi or Aloye, whichever one you're not going to start. I think it'll be one of Kepi or Paseka that'll come off the bench. I'd probably lean towards Paseka, Matty.
Yeah, I've got Paseka written down as number 15 and
15.
Kelmer at 12. Yep.
Yeah, and then 16, 17, the last two spots. The thing that worries me is that you've got either Paseka or Kepi on the bench. I think you need another middle in the modern game. So I think Sipley has to be one of them.
Yeah, it's out of Sipley or Bullimore. Both good, but yeah, I'd probably Sipley's got a few more runs on the board. So
I think you just got to take the size there of Sipley too.
I think Sipley will be my 16.
Yep, Sipley. And then jersey 17, your last spot. You've got a couple of options here. Obviously, Bullimore, he's one that we spoke about. I really like him. Benny Condon's coming down from the North Queensland Cowboys. I'm not quite sure how he's going to go. I watched him play a lot of reserve grade before he came into first grade. I was pretty impressed. When he came into first grade, he was a little bit quiet. So I'm interested to see how Ben Condon goes. Bit of a different body shape. And Burbo, of course, mate. He's the other one that could come into this side. I'm leaning to Bullimore in the 17.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards Ben Trbojevic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think just someone who can play a bit more out wide. Because otherwise you got 3 front rows on the bench, and then I just think I had 16 as like Sipley or Bullimore, and then I had 17 as Burbo or Condon. So yeah, I'd probably go Ben Trbojevic.
You got me thinking now. I guess if you want to cover a few other spots, Ben might be your guy. Yeah, so Bullimore or Burbo. I probably can't see Ben Condon winning that spot.
Yeah.
I think he'll be in Reggie's to start. But yeah, Bullimore or Burbo to round it out there. Matty, going through that side, I think it's pretty evident that, as we said, middle forwards is a worry. I mean, if one of your edge guys goes down, like if they lose Ola Kawatu, for example, I'm very worried about Manly all of a sudden again.
Yeah, I just think they're lacking a little bit of depth.
Yeah.
Just across the ball. Like their 17 is quite strong, but then it's just the depth. Well, certainly the 13 is good. The bench there's a lot of conjecture over the bench, but you can pull together quite a good bench. But as we say, like there's always going to be injuries, there's going to be suspensions, there's going to be everything, there's going to be COVID, blah blah blah. So yeah, lacking a bit of depth, but they got Turbo. So
they have got Turbo. It will be interesting. Like if everything goes to plan, you're going to have 6 weeks smack in the middle of the season without Turbo, DCE, and Jake Trbojevic.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
It's going to be a massive, massive test for them. Also doesn't help that their bye is in round 2. As I said, having a bye round 1, round 2,
that's so
round
stiff.
3.
That's yuck.
That's shit out. I really hope that the NRL keeps track of who gets them. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, surely the Dragons don't have a round early bye for the next few years now.
They shouldn't have a round 1 bye for the next 17 years.
Yeah.
That should be how it should work.
Yeah.
I'd be fuming if it went another way. There are other buys in round 20 for the Manly Seagulls, so they will have a bye there with, I believe it's Melbourne, Roosters, Penrith, all those sides. So that'll be at the end of Origin. So hopefully Turbo, DCE, Jake Trbojevic, all these guys are fit and firing for that run home. They've then got about 7 weeks to get through until finals start. So I've never seen a team that is so reliant on one guy just being fit and healthy. And I do wonder, we spoke about it the other day on Bloke and a Bar about Turbo potentially jumping into the centres, which I hate playing Turbo there, but Matty, you've just got to have him on the field and be able to play in there when you need him to be relevant.
It seems sacrilege to put him at centre, but there's a lot of good reasons why I should. There's a lot of good reasons why I shouldn't as well. I don't really know, to be honest, about that.
And I love whenever you say it, people blow up deluxe, and I sit there and I listen to the argument, and then I go, yeah, no, you're right. I get you.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with anything you just said, but at what point are we going to change something here? Like, you've got to do something other than hoping.
If he gets injured again, you really start thinking.
I think you've got to do something.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
Like if he does his, if he hurts his ankle or something, then you're like, all right. But if he does his hammy again, Yeah, I don't know. You start thinking.
I really do hope that this trip to America for Pappy and him changes everything, because if we get back to 2023 and we've got Latrell at his best, Turbo at his best, Pappy back to his best, along with your Tedescos, your Edwards, your Guthos, your young Xavier Savage coming through, we're looking at an unbelievable era of fullbacks.
100%. We can only hope at this point, but let's do a lot of it. Let's do a lot of hoping.
I've got Manly. Fuck. If Turbo's fit, I've got them 5 to 9. If Turbo's not, I've got them probably 10 to 15.
Yeah, Manly are I'm quite confident that they are the hardest team to pick a ladder for.
Yeah.
Like there is no doubt. There's no team that is this tough. Every team I can like kind of sense like what bracket I'm going to put them in. Manly, I could fit them into every bracket. Maybe not bottom 4, but like every other bracket. Like if Turbo's fit and firing, they can make the top 4. If Turbo's fit and firing, like more realistically, they'll definitely could make the finals. Turbo's out. They showed enough last year before Jersey that they could push, but they also could fall off a cliff. So they're just they could be anywhere next year.
But mate, if Turbo's not there and they have 2 injuries in this forward pack,
well, yeah,
it turns into a fucking disaster all of a sudden.
True.
An absolute disaster. So, yeah, I think they are the hardest team to predict. And that's, we're talking about Turbo. We're still trying to work, we're still got to rely on Josh Schuster stepping into Kieran Foran's boots and making that work as well. Like, I believe he can, but there are so many ifs around this Manly side.
I'm pumped to watch him.
Cannot wait to fucking watch them.
Yeah.
Love their jerseys this year too.
Yeah?
They look unreal. I like them.
I can't remember, to be honest.
Can't remember?
Nah.
You'll probably hate them knowing you. But yeah, Manly, I've got no idea. All comes down to Turbo, the form of Schuster. And I know every team, but how many injuries this team has. This is one team that cannot risk to have a bad injury run in any way, shape or form. Guys, we've got Beers and Break-Evens dropping on Wednesday afternoon. First episode back for 2023, going through Timmy Williams' Supercoach side as it stands right now. Thursday afternoon, we'll be going through my team. And then a few days after that, we'll let you know when we'll have more best 17s coming. If you would like us to cover your team that we haven't yet, please leave it in the comments. Me and Matty will have a look at it and decide which team we dive into next. Thanks for joining us once again, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. Cheers.